Welcome back, wanderer of winter shadows. Lean in, because what's waiting for you this season has nothing to do with lights or gifts. It's the truth people tried to hide under tinsel and fake cheer. This Christmas, they'll pretend to smile, but their real gift to you is regret and fear. But not the kind of fear that harms, the kind that exposes, the kind that haunts their conscience, the kind that forces them to face themselves, the kind that arrives wrapped not in ribbons, but in realization. Because this season, the lights may glow, the music may play, the air may feel soft, but when it comes to you, their spirit is shaking behind the performance. See, holidays have a strange way of making people reflect on their choices, their actions, their ignorance, their dismissals, their betrayals, their carelessness, the moments they underestimated you. And this year, the reflection hits different, because you're no longer who you were the last time the world strung up lights and pretended to be joyful. You evolved, you awakened, you elevated. You stepped into a version of yourself they never prepared for. You walked into a new frequency without announcing it, and now their spirit feels the shift, even if they don't have the language to explain it. This Christmas, they'll stand in rooms with you, or think about you from afar, and plaster on a smile. But underneath that smile, a storm of regret, a storm of, I should have treated them better, a storm of, I didn't see their worth, a storm of, I messed up, a storm of, I thought they'd stay the same, a storm of, I didn't expect them to rise like this. They're not scared of you. They're scared of who you became without needing them. They're scared of the distance you created without raising your voice. Scared of the boundaries you built without announcing their construction. Scared of the glow you stepped into without asking for permission. Because the truth is, people relied on you being small, predictable, forgiving, available, soft enough to bend, quiet enough to overlook their behavior, loyal enough to stay despite the imbalance. They depended on the old version of you to maintain the illusion of their own goodness. But that version? It didn't survive the year. What emerged instead is a version of you with clarity so sharp that it makes every person who played with your kindness feel emotionally naked. That is the fear they're carrying into Christmas. Not fear of punishment, but fear of acknowledgement. Acknowledging that you see them now, exactly as they are. Without the filters you once used to soften the truth. You see the little things they hoped you'd miss. You see the intentions behind the words. You see the tone behind the compliments. You see the insecurity behind the jokes. You see the jealousy behind the silence. You see the motives behind the sudden warmth. You see the shift in energy when your name comes up. And in a season where everything is supposed to look festive, your awareness becomes the brightest light in the room. It exposes, it reveals, it makes their fake smiles feel heavy on their face. Because deep down, they know exactly why your energy changed. They know why you don't respond the same. They know why your presence feels distant. They know why your tone feels calmer. They know why your silence feels louder than your words ever could. They know you're not mad. You're not bitter. You're not holding grudges. You're not plotting revenge. You're not trying to prove anything. You simply woke up. And nothing terrifies people more than someone waking up to their own worth. Because once you realize your value, every connection rearranges itself. Not through confrontation, but through frequency. You upgraded your inner frequency, and suddenly, people who relied on your softness can't reach you anymore. They feel it when they text you, and you don't respond the same. They feel it when they speak to you, and you're no longer emotionally available on demand. They feel it when they try to insult you subtly, and their words don't land. They feel it when they try to pull you into old dramas, and you don't even blink. They feel it when they compare themselves to you and realize you've quietly outgrown the entire environment. That's the regret they're carrying. Not regret over what you said. Regret over what they said. Not regret over what you did. Regret over what they did. Not regret over how you acted. Regret over how they mishandled someone who was always real with them. And the fear? The fear comes from one thing. They don't know who they're dealing with anymore. The old version of you was predictable. This version is unreadable. The old version of you was emotional. This version is composed. The old version of you rationalized things. This version recognizes patterns. The old version of you avoided conflict. This version avoids disrespect. The old version of you tried to fix everything. This version understands that not everything deserves saving. They expected you to return to your old self just because the holidays arrived. But your transformation didn't take a holiday break. Your glow didn't dim when the world put up decorations. Your boundaries didn't loosen just because the calendar reset. Your energy didn't drop back to a level that made others comfortable. No, you walked into the season with the same grounded calm, the same measured presence, the same intuitive awareness that makes every insecure person read their own guilt into your silence. They'll smile at you this Christmas, but deep down, they're confronting the truth. You're not the one they used to underestimate. You're not the one they dismissed without thought. You're not the one they assumed would always be there. You're not the one they believed would stay blind. You're not the one they manipulated. You're not the one they emotionally leaned on without giving anything back. You're not the one who needed them. You're the one who outgrew them. And here's the part that twists their spirit. They realized it too late. They realized you were rare only after they mishandled you. They realized you were loyal only after they broke your trust. They realized you were genuine only after they fed you lies. They realized you were stable only after they created chaos. They realized you were transparent only after they hid their motives. Now they're left wrapping their self-inflicted regret in holiday paper and pretending it's normal seasonal stress. But it's not stress. It's consequence. Not revenge, but reflection. Not fear of you, but fear of losing access to someone they were never meant to lose. Your evolution is the ghost in their holiday season, not haunting them, reminding them. Reminding them of what they took for granted, what they didn't appreciate, what they overlooked, what they ignored, what they failed to protect, what they thought they'd always have. The real Christmas gift you're receiving this year is clarity. And the real Christmas gift they're receiving this year is conscience. Your presence won't ruin their season. Their own awareness will. Because nothing hurts a person more than realizing too late that the one they dismissed is now the one standing in a life they can no longer reach. The thing about holidays, especially Christmas, is that they don't just bring lights, gatherings, or nostalgia. They bring truth. Not because people suddenly become honest, but because they can no longer run from the silence that comes with the season. And this Christmas, that silence is going to expose something they've been trying desperately to avoid. Their regret has a pulse now. Their fear has a voice now. Their conscience finally woke up. It doesn't matter how many smiles they practice in the mirror, or how many festive pictures they take, or how loudly they laugh at the table, or how brightly the room is decorated. Their inner world isn't matching the outside performance, because something about the season, something about the stillness and reflection, pulls their attention straight back to you, to the conversations they mishandled, the chances they wasted, the boundaries they crossed, the times they played with your kindness, the moments they took your presence for granted, the signals they ignored, the subtle disrespect they never apologized for. the trust they mishandled without thinking twice. They keep replaying those moments, even when they try not to. It shows up when they're wrapping gifts, when they're scrolling their phone, when they hear a song that reminds them of better times, when they see a picture that triggers memory, when they feel that hollow ache that no amount of holiday cheer can fill. Because regret always arrives dressed as a quiet question. How did I lose someone like that? And fear arrives right beside it with an even louder one. What if I never get access to them again? And the answer, the one they're scared to face, is what keeps their spirit restless. You didn't just pull away. You evolved. You shifted your frequency so completely, so undeniably, that they no longer know how to reach you. Christmas is forcing them to see the difference, because while they're performing joy, you're radiating actual peace. They can sense it, they can feel it, and they can't compete with it. Not because you're trying to outshine anyone, but because you're finally aligned within yourself. You're walking differently, talking differently, responding differently, moving differently, existing differently. You're no longer the emotional version of yourself they built their comfort around. You're no longer the easy one, the forgiving one, the predictable one, the one who tolerated their laziness, the one who understood them more than they understood themselves, the one who always made room for their inconsistencies. You're not broken this year. You're not confused this year. You're not wounded this year. You're not waiting for closure this year. You're not seeking validation this year. You're found, and they know it. They can feel it. It's in the way you carry yourself without tension, in the way you communicate without desperation, in the way you detach without cruelty, in the way you love yourself without needing applause, in the way your peace doesn't require anyone's permission. That's what scares them, because your evolution is living proof that their presence wasn't responsible for your glow. Their absence was. You became better when they stopped contributing. You grew when they stopped supporting. You unlocked yourself the moment they let go of you carelessly. That's where their regret comes from, because they're finally realizing that you weren't the problem. You were the blessing. Not a blessing in a romantic sense, not a blessing in an attachment sense, but a blessing in the kind of way that forces people to grow, reflect, and transform. You were the mirror that reflected who they could be if they weren't busy trying to be someone else. You were the opportunity they weren't prepared to handle. And this Christmas, the universe is handing them a gift they never wanted. A full, unfiltered replay of every moment they thought you were replaceable. They'll pretend the pain isn't there. They'll smile through it. They'll laugh louder than usual. They'll decorate more, post more, stay busy. But the truth will still press on their chest. They lost the version of you they always thought would remain within reach. And here's the part that twists them inside. You're not angry. You're not resentful. You're not looking for revenge. You're not seeking attention. You're not proving anything. You just moved on, moved forward, moved upward, moved inward, moved into the life where your energy is protected instead of drained. And that is the part that elevates their regret into something deeper. Because anger from you, they could handle. Silence from you, they could dismiss. Distance from you, they could excuse. But peace? Your peace? That's what scares them the most. Because your peace says one thing. I don't owe you access anymore. Your peace is the proof that they failed to recognize your worth when it was still theirs to honor. Your peace is the proof that they cannot manipulate their way back in. Your peace is the reminder that you didn't stay stuck in the version of yourself they tried to keep you in. Your peace is the realization that you never needed them to become who you are now. And that's what their Christmas smile is trying and failing to hide. They thought time would weaken your glow. It strengthened it. They thought distance would make you regret the separation. It clarified it. They thought you'd eventually crumble. You elevated. They thought you'd chase. You healed. They thought you'd remain accessible. You became selective. They thought you'd soften back into their comfort zone. You built a new comfort inside your own soul, and now their fear has a shape. It's the fear of irrelevance. They fear that your life no longer has a space carved out for them. They fear that your heart no longer needs what they used to offer. They fear that your intuition won't let them close again. They fear that your glow makes their intentions look dim. They fear that your presence now demands the kind of honesty they're not ready to give. And so this Christmas, their smile becomes a mask, barely holding itself together. But beneath it, a storm of realization, a trembling sense of loss, a weight of self-accountability, a quiet understanding that they did this to themselves by mistaking your kindness for permanence. And the wildest part? They'll spend the season wondering if you know any of this, if you can sense it, if you feel it, if you're aware of their internal collapse. And the truth? You don't need to know. You don't need to analyze their emotions. You don't need to decode their energy. Your job is simple. Continue evolving at the pace they never prepared for. Because the regret they're carrying is not your burden. It's their reminder, their lesson, their accountability, their wake-up call, their Christmas gift wrapped in a ribbon of truth they can't escape. And now we reach the clearest truth of all, the truth that sits behind every fake smile they'll wear this Christmas, the truth that echoes louder than the music in the background, the truth they'll feel even in a crowded room. They didn't lose you when you walked away. They lost you when they failed to appreciate you while you were right there. That's the part their spirit can't outrun. They can distract themselves with traditions, food, noise, pictures, laughs. But the quiet moments in between, the moments when the night slows down and they're left alone with their thoughts, that's when the truth lands hardest. Because in those moments, the holiday lights don't comfort them. They expose them. Exposing the carelessness, exposing the ego, exposing the missed chances, exposing the arrogance that convinced them you'd always tolerate their imbalance, exposing the way they benefited from your loyalty without ever offering their own. And now, the universe is making sure they see everything clearly, not to hurt them, not to punish them, not to torture them, but to show them what self-inflicted loss feels like. Because nothing hits harder than realizing the person you dismissed has become the person you can no longer reach. This Christmas, your absence speaks louder than your presence ever did. Not because you're being petty, but because you're finally in alignment. There's no anger left in you, no bitterness, no grudges, no desire to prove anything. No wish to revisit old chapters. Just a steady, calm elevation that makes your distance feel permanent, without you ever saying the words. And that's what terrifies them. Because if you had left in anger, they could have waited for you to cool down. If you had left in chaos, they could have expected a return. If you had left emotionally, they could have predicted a cycle. But you left in clarity. And clarity is final. Your glow isn't revenge. It's evidence. Evidence that the best parts of you were never dependent on them. Evidence that your evolution happened because you finally prioritized yourself. Evidence that your peace returned the moment you stopped entertaining their inconsistency. They feel that. Every piece of it, even from a distance, because your energy doesn't beg anymore. It doesn't chase anymore. It doesn't wait at the door anymore. It doesn't lower itself to be accepted anymore. You're not angry, you're unavailable. And unavailability stings deeper than any confrontation ever could. Their fear isn't about losing you. Their fear is about realizing they never truly had you because they were too busy playing games to recognize the realness you offered. They're afraid of the version of themselves they were when they had access to you. Afraid of the conversations they'll never get to fix. Afraid of the apologies they should have given. Afraid of the impression they left on you. Afraid of the fact that you no longer feel like home. You feel like a closed chapter. But your story didn't end there. Your story expanded. You're stepping into a future that doesn't rely on anyone's approval. A future built from your truth, your strength, your self-respect. A future where you don't settle for people who only value you once distance forces them to. You're walking into this season with a level of emotional maturity they're only now beginning to understand. And here's the most powerful part. You don't need their regret. You don't need their fear. You don't need their apology. You don't need closure. You don't need explanations. You don't need validation. You don't need recognition. Because the life you're stepping into speaks for itself. Your energy became its own boundary. Your growth became its own reply. Your silence became its own statement. Your peace became its own standard. Your evolution became its own protection. Yes, they'll smile at you, or smile thinking about you, or smile as if everything is fine. But that smile is stitched together by a truth their soul can't deny. They wish they had treated you better when they still had the chance. That's the gift they're carrying. The realization that you were rare long before they noticed. Not a gift you asked for. Not a gift you want. But a gift the universe delivered anyway. And you? Your gift this Christmas is simple. You're finally free from ever needing what you once hoped they would give. You're stepping into a new year with confidence, clarity, and alignment. The kind of alignment that makes your past versions proud and your future versions excited. They'll carry regret. They'll carry fear. They'll carry the weight of their choices. But you'll carry peace. And peace, your peace, is the brightest thing in the room.